When people are learning the saxophone, they get to a point when they want to play with other people, with other musicians, or just with backing tracks. But a lot of people come to me with this problem, saying that they just can't do it. When they're playing, they can't hear anything else other than themselves, and they don't know how to practice to get so that they can do it. So I'm going to show you today in this video 6 simple steps that you can follow to practice to help you get over this problem. A lot of you already know me, but for those of you that don't, my name is Matthew Smith. I'm the founder of Saxophone Studies, and I've been a professional musician for over 20 years, and all of that time I've been teaching people to play the saxophone as well. And that's what Saxophone Studies is all about. If you follow the link underneath this video, you can go to the website and you'll find there a wealth of information of saxophone education. Also in this lesson, I'm going to give you a free PDF with a piece that we're going to look at, and also the backing track to go with it. Again, there's a link underneath this video that you can click on, and that will take you to those resources. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, so then you'll hear anytime I bring out a new video on YouTube. So we're going to work through 6 steps, and this is the first one, and it's very short and very simple. But before we get started, you're going to need a metronome. So if you don't have one, you can get hold of one very easily. You can download them onto your smartphone or onto your tablet, and there's loads of free versions available as well. I'm going to be using a free one on my phone today actually. So this first thing I'd like you to do is set your metronome to 70 beats per minute. So that's what I've set mine to. And all I want you to do initially is just set the metronome clicking, and then just listen to it. It sounds really simple, but I want you to just listen to it and get used to hearing that click, hearing the predictability of it, and recognising where it's going to fall each time. So this is mine clicking now. So just listen to that and just get used to the sound of it. So that first step was pretty easy. You're just listening to the metronome and getting used to the sound. Step 2, what I'd like you to do is very similar. We're going to put the metronome on again, but what I'd like you to do, imagine inside of your head that as the metronome clicks at the same time you say da. So every click you're saying da, 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 but not out loud. I want you to do it inside of your head. And the key thing here is to keep listening to the metronome. So you're syncing up those two things. There's the metronome clicking and you're imagining da, da, da. Okay, I'll leave mine running in case you don't have one handy just yet. Step 3 is remarkably similar to step 2, but instead of saying da in your head, I want you to say it out loud. Now, this is where a lot of people can go out, because focusing on saying da makes them unable to hear the click. So the first most important thing is to hear the click. So listen to it for a few seconds, and then practice saying da at the same time. So we've got the da, 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 da. And what you're focusing on is getting, when you say da, to fall exactly when the click starts. I should say at this point that the purpose of all these steps and of this lesson is not to get to the end as quickly as you can, but to make sure that you can understand each step and be able to do it really well. It actually doesn't matter how long it takes you to do each step. Being a saxophonist and being a musician is all about the process and the journey. Doing what we're doing now is part of you being a musician. And practicing timing and practicing with a metronome and practicing listening are things that musicians have to do. So your 4th step is we're going to transfer what you've already practiced and put it onto the saxophone. So it's that idea of listening to the click and then playing a note exactly at the same time. So the notes that I'm going to use is going to be a middle C, which is your middle finger. I'm demonstrating this on the alto saxophone, so it's going to sound different if you're playing soprano or tenor, but that actually doesn't matter at all. The most important thing is the listening and the playing. And before you start playing, there's a few really important things that you need to do. So before you start, first of all, get your finger on the C. Second thing, get the saxophone in your mouth so you're ready to play. And then when you've got all that ready and set up, you can put your metronome on and just spend a few seconds listening to it and get yourself tuned into that sound. And then when you can feel you're in the zone, you can start to breathe in through your nose. I'm saying in through your nose because then you're not changing your embouchure. Breathe in through your nose, and then you can start playing with the metronome. Okay, it's important you do those steps because it's just going to help you be more accurate and play this better. As you're playing, it's really important to keep listening, and you're trying to get each note falling exactly with each click. Okay, here's my example. 1, 2. As I said earlier, take your time with each of these exercises and practice them a lot to get comfortable with them and to get used to them. And you can repeat them as many times as you like, over as many days as you like. Now we've reached step 5, you can already listen to a metronome, hear it, and play a note repeatedly hitting it. So the next step is for us to do the same thing but actually changing notes, because that's adding in a new layer of complexity. So the notes I'm going to use are going to be G, A and B. So that's your top hand, your left hand, G, A and B, G, A, B. And all I'm going to do in a second is put the metronome on again and play up and down those notes going G, A, B, A, G, A, B, A, G. Once again, there's a few things that are really important to do before you start playing. First of all, get your fingers on the keys for your first note, the G. Get the saxophone in your mouth. And before you start playing, listen to the metronome, get tuned into it. And then when it does, take a breath in through your nose and start playing your G, A, B. So every time the click happens, you're changing note and just going up and down, up and down. Okay? So here's my example. 1, 2, 3. And as with the previous steps, keep practicing this until you feel yourself getting better and more accurate at it. And as I've already said, it doesn't matter how long this takes. The important thing is that you focus on it, you keep listening and try and get a little bit better each time. So for this 6th and final step, we're going to bring in another element, which is actually playing a piece of music with a backing track. So we're going to use the same notes that you've already been using, so G, A and B, but they're going to be jumbled up and put into a different order to make a piece. This is also where you need to start using the downloads. So as I said earlier in the video, underneath this video there's a link to the downloads where you can get the PDF download and the backing track. The PDF download is going to give you the notes that I'm playing, written out in sheet music form, but there's also, under each note, there's going to be the letter name of the notes. So if you don't read music, you can still see what the notes are. Also, over each note, I've written down how many beats or how many clicks each of the notes last for. Again, that's to make it as accessible for everyone as possible. And there are backing tracks available in the downloads for all of the saxophones, so soprano, alto, tenor and baritone. By bringing in a piece of music, there's lots of elements that we're bringing in at the same time here. So before you actually try playing it with the backing, there's several things I'd like you to do. The first thing is just to listen to me playing it. When you've done that, I want you to, as I say, click on the link and get the download, so you've got the sheet music and you've got the backing track. Then listen to me playing it again and follow the music, just so you can hear how that all fits together. And when you've listened to it, if you're still puzzled and you've got questions, you can always ask me questions in the private group on Facebook. So when you've listened to it whilst looking at the music as well, I'd like you to listen to it again, looking at the music, and practice your finger positions at the same time so that you're practicing coordinating what your fingers are going to be doing. And when you can do that comfortably, the final step is to try playing it as well. And initially, rather than just trying it on your own, just try playing along with me in the video, because then you'll know that you're getting it right. And you can use all of the steps that we've used previously in this lesson before you start. So before you press play on the video to play along, get your finger on the first note so you're ready, get the music so you can see it, have the mouthpiece in your mouth, take a good breath through your nose and then start playing. And as you're playing, all the time focus on this same idea that we've talked about already, of really listening to the backing and trying to coordinate what you're doing with that backing. So there you go, there's 6 steps to go from not being able to play with accompaniment or other people at all to being able to do it. And as I've said all the way through this lesson, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get to the end, just take your time and make sure you can achieve each stage before you move on to the next. So don't forget, you've got the links underneath the video. Hit subscribe so you'll hear from me when I bring out new lessons and new videos, and I'll say bye for now.